whether for a master's application or for a job interview or for an MBA, it's all about selling yourself. I didn't sit at the same place in the same spot for lunch throughout the internship period. So I just go get the food and just decide to go and sit with total strangers and then introduce myself and start a conversation and probably get their cards or exchange numbers. So I did that every day throughout the internship, and I virtually I met so many people, and those relationships still exist till today. The next internship after the Africa Finance Corporation was Olaniwa Ajayi. Yes, so at Olaniwa Ajayi, called for applications, and I was on the lookout. It was usually summer period, June, July-ish, right? So when they called for application, I applied. Cover letter at the time. Now here's the juice. Before Olaniwa Ajayi, I already had at least 3 or 4 internship experiences on my CV. I started small and used the experience in one to get the other. So that's how you should think about it. Don't, when you've been applying to the top firms and you've been getting rejections or rejection letters and you're discouraged, why not change strategy? Like I said, apply to a mid-sized firm, learn as much as possible, actually learn concrete things that you can put on your CV and that you can defend. So you can speak to those things you've learned in your CV, because for every employer, the emphasis is on your skills. It's not on the school you graduated from. It's not on, it's really just on the skills. So Olaniwa Ajayi, the cover letter wasn't a generic one. That's the first thing. It has to be bespoke. You have to speak to the things that you've done and why your experiences match, or make you a perfect fit for the role. And even if you haven't done any of those things, you haven't interned before, it is enough to say that you are blah 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 with so and so grades, and that you have an interest in commercial law, and this is evidenced by your performance in commercial law related subjects, including the law of contracts, commercial law, company law. So you want to sell yourself, whether for a master's application or for a job interview or for an MBA. It's all about selling yourself and showing whoever is reading the application that you don't want to miss out on this guy. I carry so much value. You would want to be associated with me. That's all it is about. All applications tell the same story, right? So and then I had so when I was selected, I think there was a phone interview, and then that was it. And then we resumed. Then again, how you perform during the internship is also extremely important, right? I remember it was during my set of interns that they introduced. It wasn't paid. Again, that's story for another day. Paid and unpaid internships, but at least there was a stipend. There was a stipend for lunch, just for pastries, and I could just buy you pastries and a drink. So that was that, but it was also a great learning experience. Also formed relationships that still exist till today. Quite an impressionable guy. You dress like you're a lawyer, and people are wondering whether you just joined and don't even know that you're just an intern, and people are asking, oh, how are you? Did you just join? Yeah, that's, you're an intern. Oh, fantastic. You look smart, talk smart, you shake firmly. And I'm like, oh yeah, great guy. Yeah, so that was Laniwaje. Is it well aligned, structured, everything looking well formatted? Before the person even starts to read the contents, it has to be very attractive CV. So you want a CV that looks captivating and would be what the HR was time. Kpmg was another great place that I really enjoyed. You know, it wasn't as stressful as PwC. Then there was food. It was good food, my people. Now the other thing, so usually like you get like meal tickets and you're entitled to a certain amount of money, and like it is a capped fee that you can if you go over that cap you have to pay extra, but it was just enough, you know, for for lunch. So I go, you know, sharp guy, looking all fresh, you know, I'm not really talking to anybody, just go, but in my mind I'm like jumping and doing something like, ooh. I'm like, they're looking at me like, oh, are you not going for lunch? I'm like, no, I need to just quickly finish. But I do the work, and so that when I go for lunch, nobody's like saying, no, you're going for lunch and you've not even finished my work. So I do the work, so when I go for lunch, I go for lunch. And a tip that I should definitely take away is that because these organizations are very structured, in fact, there's like a Chinese wall between tax, advisory, and like audit. So you can intern at PwC at the same time with somebody, and you will not even, your paths will not cross. In fact, there are people who work at PwC today, full staff, and they don't even know each other. PwC, I'm very sure that's one, that you can work at PwC and you will not even know your colleagues. So, but I was very intentional about networking and meeting people, and I think networking for me isn't always vertical. You know, I wasn't just only trying to network with actual staff or seniors and partners. I did that quite all right, but I was also intentional about networking with interns, undergraduates, graduates from other universities. And guys, that was how I met most of the people I work with today at Commercially Aware. I met them during my Kpmg internship. I didn't sit at the same place, at the same spot for lunch throughout the internship period. So I just go get the food and just decide to go and sit with total strangers and then introduce myself and start a conversation and probably get their cards or exchange numbers. So I did that every day throughout the internship, and I eventually, I met so many people, and those relationships still exist today. So from Kpmg, guys, I went to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The Nigerian Stock Exchange, I also applied directly to HR, and then, of course, was applying to work with the legal division of the stock exchange. While I was then, the application was considered, and then I just got called. So it was basically on the strength of the cover letter and the CV, no interviews for the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So when we joined, myself and Gray intern at the same time at the office at Customs Street, that's Lagos Island. It was also very interesting. I mean, we didn't expect that I was going to be paid, but at the end of the internship, they paid us. So massive thank you to Nigerian Stock Exchange. You know, there wasn't food like Kpmg, but that's okay. Also learned quite a lot. You know, I personally got to see things from like an in-house counsel's perspective, because then they had to prepare RFPs for, you know, external counsel to bid for certain products, whether it was litigation or it was corporate commercial work. You know, reviewed a lot of internal agreements, so several service level agreements with third-party vendors. Before crypto became a thing, you know, I already did a lot of research on virtual currencies, and I mean, before the SEC eventually even released the guidelines, you know, it was something that was in the talks, in the works, and we were already thinking ahead, and we're doing serious research on virtual currencies and virtual exchange, cryptocurrency exchanges. So that was also a very useful experience. So again, what to take away from that is that you shouldn't just look to applying to law firms alone. Spread your tentacles, apply far and wide. Look at my experiences are so diverse and rich, and it's quite useful on my job now. Even if I work primarily as a banking and finance lawyer, I mean, the tax is relevant to my work. Capital markets, extremely relevant to my work. And on different days, things I learned at these different internships would usually come in handy and extremely relevant. And I also am able, so I think I also wear that cap of that very resourceful associate because of all these contacts that I have in these many places that I have interned at. So I can, if I have a task question, I can call my supervisor at PwC, Folajimi Akinla, have a whole conversation. And so when I left the stock exchange, I went to Aluko and Oyebode. My present employers. Anyway, Aluko and Oyebode was definitely the highlight of all my internships because I used to post on LinkedIn. So there were certain people who already knew me before I started the internship. So when I joined, already was friends with Chidi Odomina before the internship. So when I joined, it was definitely a familiar face. So I worked with him a lot. And Timothy Kwesho with me as well, worked with her a lot. And a few other people within Team Mutiat, and all of these people, became my colleagues later on. And they remember me from my internship days. So you want to leave an impression that mattered all the way to the interview. So you want to, do good work. Even as an intern, you want to take the work seriously and not be nonchalant or like complacent and lackadaisical about the work. Take it as seriously as you would maybe like your final exams or something, and then just show that readiness to learn. There were many things that were flying over my head at the time, but I was getting familiar with the concepts, and I was showing, I was ready, I was listening, and when I had conversations with people outside of the firm, I started to wonder, when did I learn that? It were things I picked up with the internship. And then, of course, I worked up to. So that's the thing. You have to be confident, and really, it's taking your growth into your own hands. So if you intern at a place where people would not, it's not compulsory for people to give you work, right? So it's not like they've instructed the associate that you must use the interns. You have to actively go and seek out work. So I remember walking up to one of the seniors and telling the person that, I have an interest in this. Just give me something to read, to work on. And the person trusted me with some work. I did it very well the first time, and then that's how we formed the relationship and started working together and lived happily ever after. And I was still colleagues. So the next one after Aluko and Oyebode was Rand. Rand, I also applied while I was at these internships, I was definitely looking out for the next internship to apply for. So I applied, definitely there's some I didn't get. So the ones, again, don't feel discouraged. For every 10 applications, I am only expecting one positive response. So that means if I want to get 10 internships, what it means, I already have my job cut out for me. I just have to send 100 applications. So people shouldn't get discouraged. You send only 15 and you think that that's the end. So you need to, stay the course and I apply. So when I got Rand, it was great who had applied there first, got Rand, interned there, and told me how it was great too. And I also, Great told me how it was great. So I also applied there, and then I got I was invited for, that was the first time I was doing like a physical interview, internship. So I'd studied up a lot about the bank, Rand. It's a merchant bank, banking license, and they are the Nigerian subsidiary of the South African parent, First Rand Bank Limited. And so I did my research and started reading who was I interviewing with, Mimi, the HR, and then I read about her as well. And when I got into that interview room, they asked me all about like, where do you want to be in 5 years? I already learned a lot about that stage. So when I was interviewing again for NYC, it felt like I was experienced. I was an experienced interviewee. So look for those opportunities to pick up a skill, interviewing skill, for instance. So that was extremely amazing. So Rand, being an investment bank, started first with the stockbroking arm of the bank, and they use Bloomberg. The first time I saw like a Bloomberg like system, how trades are filled, executed, and how you also act as custodian, and you also route like some offers like to brokers in foreign markets. Guys, so this was rich experience. So till tomorrow, those internships are still on my CV. I'm still milking them because those are brand names you want to have on your CV. So if you want any specific tips, guys, reach out to me. I am always very happy to share. I hope that you learned a lot and that this was useful. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe. This one, you need to share it like far and wide to everybody, and then let them join the channel, join the train, and there's still more coming your way. I should, but do